I'd like to start with, oh, the green and red of Mayo, I can see it still. Its soft and craggy boglands, its tall, majestic hills, where the ocean kisses Ireland and the waves caress our shore. Oh, the feeling that comes over me to stay forevermore. Welcome, coaches, to Bacon. Welcome to East Mayo in the heart of Connacht. Welcome to this magnificent Airdome facility. It is a pleasure and an honour to be asked to speak here today and to share some of my thoughts with you. I grew up down the road in Tuam, and many of my early sporting days were spent travelling the twisting, turning, winding roads of this area, which is rich in a sporting tradition and abundant with good people. So I want to do well here today. What do I intend? I hope to enthuse you as coaches. I'd like to think you'll go away feeling good about yourselves. I'd like to set the scene coaching-wise for what will follow for the rest of the day. And I'd like to share some views around the role of sport, the potential of our games, the influence that we have as coaches, the characteristics of young people, competition, behaviour. There's a lot there. But I want to wrap it all up with ribbons about coaches and coaching. You only have to listen to me for about 25 minutes. I have to listen to myself all the time. And I know it can be hard going. I know I can get a bit too serious when I don't intend to be. So I will be led a lot by a script because I do want to punch some punches in those topics and leave with a message. If any of you want to torture yourself or torment yourself or to have something to put your kids to sleep, my script will be available to you all. So I'll be mingling around and I'll let you know where you can get it all next week. So you ready? Will we get going? Archeological artifacts test to the presence of people here in Beacon 4,000 years ago. Imagine that. That's a long time ago. I wonder what those 4,000-year-old ghosts make of today. My grandfather from Clonaglasha didn't take long to get in here this time. He used to tell me that he didn't believe in ghosts, but then he'd add, but they're out there, you know. Used to scare the bejeenies out of me. So trust me, the ghosts are here. I've seen a few already. I wonder what they thought when they saw you arrive this morning. Who are they? What do they do? What are they up to? I'd like to think that they'd warm to us and maybe keep us warm for the day as well. They'd respect and appreciate that as coaches, we help people. We mean well. We aim to do good. They'd like that. They'd support our view that sport is an enormous resource for good, and they'd encourage us to be comfortable before heading home enthused, invigorated, and bristling with renewed energy, contacts, and know-how. They're just quick enough that you have great influence. And those ghosts of 4,000 years ago would like you to use that influence wisely. They'd want us to feel good about ourselves, because that's important. That transfers a confidence. To carry our responsibilities lightly, and by looking around you here today, knowing that you're not alone in these things. The best of life is lived quietly, wrote John McGahern from up the road in Auchawilliam. He'd acknowledge that today is a rare, quiet day in your lives, an undisturbed time to meet other coaches, to learn, and to have the crack. You go to school to learn, to think for yourself, he wrote. Today is a day to plant seeds that will surface in the weeks and months to come. A day to submerge yourself in the process and tools of coaching. undiluted, and without distraction. I like to think too of the thousands of players. And just think about that. It is thousands of players that will miss you today. I imagine pitches that will remain idle, or if not, pitches that will feel the loss of your presence, your encouragement, your expertise. I'm curious what those players will do. Will they do something you'd have them do, or will they organise something completely separately? It would be good to know, but for sure, you'll be missed. We've missed each other, so enjoy today and make hay even if the sun doesn't shine. Make this airdrome the coppers of Connacht and go chase good company. Demonstrations of coaching practice appropriate to the youth stage of the player pathway will fill the timetable, as well as keynotes from Anya McNamara and Barry McCarthy. Experienced coach developers have planned well and grasp the challenge of a real, live, unplugged session with young people invited from the locality. I thank these coach developers. They are brave. They're putting themselves out there, embracing the uncertainty that is at the heart of all great coaching sessions. You'll know that. You'll empathise with them. I invite you to focus on these demonstrations. Let today be a time when the nuances of the game and the nuances of coaching get together in a selfish, greedy way for yourselves. Watch the coaches, listen to them, and pick up as many coaching tips as you can. You will be facilitated and steered in that direction while the practicals are going ahead. This is a time for old dogs and new dogs to learn new tricks. So I asked you to watch, to listen, and to pick up. I know I'm not dealing with muck here today. You already have a wide repertoire of coaching skills. You may have coaching qualifications the length of your arm. By your attendance and your enthusiasm, you show that you have an interest in coaching and a passion to improve. That is good. Because unless reviewed and polished regularly, coaching skills can gather dust, much like the keys of an unused piano. They can rest there silent, ready and able to produce a beautiful sound, just waiting to be tapped. Trouble is, these deep-rooted, multi-layered coaching skills need tapping. Like the melody of a favourite tune, they can flow smoothly and naturally if the touch is right. We enjoy the melody of many songs. We can hum along to the best of them. We may even know the words of the first verse and the chorus, but at the same time, not knowing all the words, not having a foggiest notion what the song is all about. A little bit like I started with the green and red of Mayo. I've sang those bits many times, but I don't know much more of it. Melody and lyrics link together in the same way as what you coach and how you coach link together. We need both for a deep understanding and effective delivery. Robert Frost wrote, "My object in living is to unite my avocation and my vocation as my two eyes make one in sight." The object of living to unite what I coach and how I coach. It's easy to be dazzled by the dance and distracted by footballs. We learn what we need to learn very quickly. Today is about what we learn after that. So search beyond the chorus of the player's performance and fight the pull of the flight of footballs and the strike of sliotards. Now notice the verbs earlier on. Watch, listen, pick up coaching tips. Now we're going into what you learn after that. I'm asking you to search and to fight. So we're upping the ante a wee bit. There is a tendency that if we don't see a solution quickly, we look away. The knack of coaching is what we do with the people in front of us on any particular day. And like the beacon ghosts, the answers are out there, you know. I spent the best part of my years in coaching. I love and I'm committed to coaching. My late friend Pat Duffy repeated often that once we get coaching right, we give everyone a chance. I repeat it now too. Once we get coaching right, we give everyone a chance. I'm a committed believer in that philosophy. Coaches and coaching are at the centre of the new learning space you'll hear more about later today. The National Coach Development Team have put their shoulder to the wheel and have done a wonderful piece of work in putting a framework together in association with ladies football and camogie so that we get coaching right. You'll be excited by what's in store. Our work as coaches is difficult. It is complex, lifelong, and in the main delivered in a voluntary capacity. It's a role that, despite many recent advances, is undervalued. It's a role that's taking on greater scope and more responsibilities, many more responsibilities. You know all about that. Familiarity can breed contempt, and the saying that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, it sometimes holds true. So it's important that we get coaching right and the service to you as coaches right. For years, I hung my hat on an unconnected phrase that nothing is more important than getting it right. I must be getting soft, because now I believe that few things are as that important. And the things that are broad issues. Issues I hadn't avoided or ignored, but perhaps I'd taken for granted. So what is it about coaching that we must get right? Now, there is the question. What is it about coaching that we must get right? Coaches, like you, for a start, you are crucial because you play an important part in people's lives. You play an important part in people's lives. That deserves great credit always. You are crucial because you play, there we go again. That needs to be reviewed, appreciated, and refueled regularly. You need to keep the pep in your step. And that can happen in many diverse ways. Let me tell you about one where it happened to me. I'll bring you back a few years to a conference in Ennis, organised by Father Harry Bohan, the uncle of Mick Bohan, who will be doing a presentation later on. And the speaker on a topic far removed from sport is Emily O'Reilly, the ombudsman at the time. Sometimes it's in such offside settings that greater meaning can be thrown on something that's close to us. This is what she said. It would be good to discipline ourselves. It would be good to discipline our children by disciplining ourselves. To realize the risks of jaded appetites, of needs too quickly and too elaborately met, of lives made too cynical, too aware through the imposition of distorted adult views of what happiness is. Now, they're fairly profound words. She went on to end this piece in this way. To realize also that the new impoverished are not those without laptops and mobiles, but perhaps those who have them and who have got them without the slightest personal effort, every wish and expectation delivered upon without striving, without time to dream, without the particular joy known as delayed gratification. Striving, effort, time, dream. Call me simple or call me slow, but the priceless value of what we have to offer through sport really hit home to me that day. In a world of instant and immediate and now, the peculiar joy of delayed gratification is what marketing people might refer to as our unique selling point. We don't just know that. We live the creed that all good things take time. We know that sport at all levels teaches. It teaches players, it teaches us. It teaches us the importance of struggle and hard work. It demands sacrifice, self-belief, teamwork. It brings us face to face with our current limits and brings us to a tipping point where we'll be tested in pressurized public situations about what is right and what is wrong. That happens from day one. It happens like that from day one for the player, and it happens like that from day one for the coach. Our games and your personalities have the ingredients to nourish jaded appetites and to make that peculiar joy of delayed gratification real. We need to get that right. Roger Bannister, the first man to run a mile faster than 4 minutes, describes sport like this. He said, sport gives us a challenge, a sense of purpose, a freedom of choice. In a time where children are isolated behind screens and locked away from much of the places and social networks that we took for granted, we can sprinkle the gold dust of challenge, purpose, and freedom of choice. Our games have something for everyone. They are not just for the talented, the champions, the big children, or early developers. We as coaches must embrace that sport is for all challenge. And to paraphrase Paul Brady, avoid sacrificing this generation of our children to feed the worn-out dreams of yesterday. Yesterday is gone. We need a new tune. All God's creatures have a place in the choir. Some sing higher, some sing lower. Our games are not just for those who conform to some predetermined body type or shape or background or tradition. Our games can accommodate everyone. The future all-stars and what I call the lost souls and poor creatures. Coaching is about service to the people in front of you on any given day. We need to get that right. It's easy to say more than ever, but I'm going to say it anyway. More than ever, we need to support young people to do something they enjoy rather than simply being better doing something than someone else. Simply being better are not the correct words there, because being better than someone else is not simple. It's a struggle. And in that climate of struggle, we as coaches can lose sight and forget the great support we as personalities can offer. We coach young people, not football, not hurling. We need to get that right. Let's think about it a moment. Young people don't care about our coaching qualifications, the championships won or lost, the history of the club. That's not important to them. Young people want to play. They want to feel good. They want to feel wanted, to make new friends, to learn new skills. They want to be around someone who will be kind to them. Young people will not learn in an atmosphere where they feel threatened or rushed without the time to dream, Emily O'Reilly mentioned. or afraid. But we know all that. So how do we get that right? Again, I'll go back to my grandfather from Cloniglasha. He reserved a special phrase for someone who performed a great act of kindness. "You're gooder than good," he'd say, and wouldn't say it too often. Young people want coaches who'll be gooder than good. That's the start. That's the start, middle, and end, really. Deep down, we know that. But perhaps amidst the pace and distractions, the championships and the administration, it sinks too deep and disappears out of sight. The melody and the routine drowns everything. We need to return to our clubs inspired, to maintain an atmosphere that promotes learning rather than structures that makes young people dependent. Less about what we as coaches do and more about how children and teenagers learn. That might get messy sometimes, like these practicals might today, but learning is like that sometimes. Instead of going training, we can invite young people to come to the club to play, to learn, and express themselves. There's a contract in that invitation, an agreement that they will play football and hurling, and that in the playing they will learn and express themselves. The field should be a friendly, playful place. To stay on track and to stay connected, we need days like today. Reminders that we are here to serve all children, that we should be kind, that we offer a service, and we should be good in that service. We need reminders, teasers even, to upskill and avail of the support that coach education provides. The new learning space will acknowledge that in a variety of practical ways. I think you'll like it. If young people want to participate, they will. If they don't, they won't. That's the flip side of what Bannister referred to as freedom of choice. Coaches are a significant influence in that choice. And that's why the ghosts of Beacon spotted that you were people of influence very early this morning. That's why, too, it would be good to find out what the players you coach did without you this morning. We cannot learn for them or play for them. We need to get that right. So let's promote, which is in us, the deadly buzz of improvement, not just competition. A love of community, not just rivalry. A sense of team, not ego. A sense of well-being and togetherness. Let's continue to guide clubs where children, and lots of them, can play and learn and simply enjoy it. As many as possible, for as long as possible. You've heard that before. To do that, we need coaches like you, who are granted that greatest of Cloniglasha accolades. You are gooder than good. We need to get that right. What better, more satisfying reward than to hear a person say that you contributed to their happy childhood? Beyond that happy childhood are the next generation of players, referees, officials, administrators, coaches, employers and employees, musicians and artists, neighbours, parents, and responsible members of communities. We reap what we sow. There's something else we need to get right. Our behaviour on the sideline and the behaviour of players on the pitch. Too often, the standard of behaviour is unacceptable. That has to improve. I have a vision that coaches will sit side by side during matches and watch the players play their game they help them to play. You might think that's far-fetched, but that's my vision and I'm working towards it. This wonderful facility started as a vision in someone's head. Behaving well and playing well matters. We cannot assume respect that the ghosts might have thrown on us if we don't respect others, nor play the game by its rules. Society expects, and parents expect, that people who spend time with us behave well. That approach does not dilute the nature of competition, far from it. When we play in the belief that there is more important things than the score, scores come. When we play in the belief that sport is everything, the process gets contaminated. And when the great scorer comes to mark against our name, he asks not if you won or lost, but how you play the game. To strive to win is good, but it's how you go about that that matters. A win at all costs has consequences, particularly when we're dealing with the young player. If standards of behaviour governed by rules and agreed by all are broken, the link between the game and everyone else is broken. It is strengthened when good behaviour brings a type of devotion, if I'd call it that, to the greater good. You are the first arbitrators of the rules, not the referees. We need to get that right. Finally, and in deference to the beacon ghosts who have been dropping by and hovering over your head, I've seen a few of them come and go throughout the morning. I'll return to the local and to that sense of place that the visionary GAA founding fathers saw as keystone. Not far from here is Crossmalina. Not far from there is the remote townland of Ardagh. John MacDonald left Ardagh in the 60s, spent a time in Dublin, and then became the head athletics coach at the University of Arkansas. John MacDonald became one of the most respected and certainly the undisputed most successful American collegiate coaches of all time. He passed away last year. His cousin James Carr plays on the Mayo senior football team. This is how John MacDonald started his autobiography. Just 2 sentences of it. It's one of life's ironies that the greatest of men often originate from the humblest of beginnings. Their later triumphs rooted in their early struggles. The prestigious success, a product of the environment in which they were born and reared. We belong to an association that acknowledges that where we are born and reared matters. We all have that home place as a launching pad. We all have early struggles to beat the band, where we all belong. It might seem that there's an awful lot to get right. And let's be honest, there is. But they are broad, personal issues that really are in our nature. It's the nitty-gritty that distracts us and pulls us away from those essential truths. Stick together, help each other along this roller coaster coaching journey. It's an honor to positively influence the environment in which the next generation are born and reared. Looking out here this morning, I believe, and I do, that it's in good hands. I have a feeling you will get it right. I thank you very much for your dedication, and I wish you the very best. Thank you, and good morning.